right now I have with me a friend of mine. Actually, he's not just a friend of mine, Dr. Francis Peña from Hanoi, Vietnam. He's a Filipino like me. We went to school together. We were batchmate in the College of Veterinary Medicine. He had a health condition a year ago. Dr. Francis, can you tell us about what happened to you and so forth? Maybe you could share your story with us.
Okay. For starters, I have to correct you. I'm not from Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm from the Philippines.
I know.
So
You're from the
I just had a business meeting here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, my health condition last year, as I told you before, I had a mild stroke, or as the doctor says, there's no mild stroke. Stroke is stroke. Yeah.
That's right.
And it was actually my wife who introduced me to the product, as she was already helpless during that time. Then I think it was you who contacted her, right?
That's right.
And asked her to try the product. For me, at first I was a bit skeptical.
Worse. Likewise. Me too.
Yeah. Because for me, if there's no heavy scientific basis for the product, then I will not try it like that. But again, given my condition last year, so I think anything goes. So we did try the product first before we were introduced formally to the product, and before learning about the scientific basis of the product. So there, I tried it. After a week, I felt something is happening within my body. So we continued it. I think I tried it for 4 weeks before the unit was transferred to another patient, I think.
Yeah.
But by then, after 4 weeks, I think there's already dramatic improvement on my condition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So right now, although everybody was saying that my improvement was a bit fast, considering it was stroke, but again, I attribute it to our Almighty.
Correct.
That because he was the one who introduced me to the product. You were just instrumental in delivering the product to me.
That's correct. Yeah. You're right.
Yes. And fast forward, now I'm traveling again internationally, but with the product.
Exactly. Exactly. You cannot go without it because it's like
yes.
It's like
and my wife actually always reminds me, and my daughter always reminds me, "Oh, have you done the iTeraCare already?" Like that.
Wow.
So it's good. Yeah.
You know what? Likewise, Doc Francis, I was very skeptical when this was introduced to me. In fact, I was a little bit skeptic, and I had anxiety and depression already because of my back pain. I have spinal stenosis, and it causes neuropathy, disc my disc is messed up. You know what? I was even praying to God, like, even though I have this condition, as long as I don't feel the pain, I'm okay. I mean, it's acceptable for me because I'm getting old. We are getting old, and sooner or later, we're gonna go expire. But again, if I could extend more of my life and the lives of my friends and family, why not? Why not give it a try? So I opened my mind and I said, this is too good to be true. You know, I believe you felt the same thing when this was introduced to you, right? Simply, what the heck is this? And you know, going forward, I started, well, I wonder, and at that time, we can't get this in Canada. We have to get it in the US. And it took me about 15 days. It has to go through customs from the US. I ordered it. It went to Canada, and it took some time before the customs people released it and have it delivered to me. And at that time, within the gap for me ordering it and at the time when it came in, I was totally in pain. Mind you, man, pain is pain. And I was even telling friends of mine that if God created the grass, that it would alleviate and relieve me from any of my body aches and pain in my body, I will eat it. As long as I don't get kicked by a horse or by a cattle or by a goat or by a sheep. Kalaban ko yun, bro, eh. You know what? I'll be their competition to eat the grass. But So when you had how long you had a stroke, Francis, if you mind me asking, how long was this? How long ago?
November 2022.
This was last year. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were in
Actually, it's my 7th or 8th month now since having a stroke.
Stroke. And
Yeah.
what was the symptoms? And can you share that with us? Like, what was the signs and symptoms when you had a stroke?
That's the scariest part. I was totally like symptomless. Just one morning when I woke up, I feel nauseated. So after eating breakfast, then I threw up. Then we went to the hospital. My blood pressure was already spiking. They just gave me antihypertensive drugs, then sent me home. Then thinking I was already okay, so I did my natural thing in the day. Then the following morning, I was again throwing up. Then my wife decided to bring me to a different hospital. Then that's those tests that they gave me really determined that I really had a stroke. But it was really like no symptoms at all. Yeah, that's the scariest part, that I didn't feel anything except for the nauseating thing. Except for that, nothing.
Were you in the hospital for a while?
For 1 week.
Oh, okay.
3 days in the ICU, then almost 5 days in a regular room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what's coming into your mind when you found out that you had a stroke? What was in your mind? What were you thinking? Like, of course, you're gonna have some. Of course, you have.
Well, of course, I got scared.
Of course, and you have a very young family.
Because my youngest is only 8 years old during that time.
Exactly.
My eldest is 19 years old during that time. She's studying in Spain.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, oh, what will happen to my family if I pass? Like,
exactly. Life is precious, isn't it? I mean, we're all vulnerable for any such condition that even in a snap of the finger, anything can happen. And well, I'm just so blessed to have this device. And of course, I was really sad when I heard about your condition. That's why I tried to connect and contacted you as much as I can. And having said that, I was able to bring that loaning machine for you, and I'm just so grateful to see you improve, Doc Francis. We're buddies, man. I remember back in the days when we were young in the university, we went to your place and played tennis, and I wasn't good in tennis at all. Those were the days. But
a lot of people were asking why me, and they just couldn't believe that thing could happen to me. But I said, well, that's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, you really put your heart into it to know when anyone is helpless. Sometimes we think of other things like what if, why can't we do this, and this was introduced to me, and what if, like there's always the benefit of the doubt. But again, even though there's the benefit of the doubt, you're gonna say, but what if? And it's good to say, and I'm just so glad and happy.
Before this product was introduced to me, like there's so many things happening in the internet, like this new age science, everything, blah blah blah, like that. And I just asked myself, what is this thing that Bunny is introducing? Is this another of those new age thing?
Exactly. And I, for one, I didn't even know what this is, not until when I really immersed myself into it, that it was an energy device. And we always learn in school when we were in the university, Doc Francis, that we were taught of so many things about nutrition, diet, that it brings in energy.
Yeah.
when it comes to nutrition.
I
Always,
I check in YouTube that this device is being used for animals also.
correct. You're right.
And you know, when it comes to animals, there's no placebo effect.
Correct. Unlike we
Like,
human beings. Yeah, it's true.
yeah, there's placebo effect for humans, but for animals, good is good, bad is bad. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. So when you had your first therapy, so when this was introduced to you, you're still recovering, but quite a bit slow. But how did you feel, or what did you feel when you started doing this to you, and having the device have in contact with you, like doing the therapy itself? How did you feel? What was the first thing that you've observed?
Well, I think there's activation of my nerves,
Uh-huh.
especially on those side of my body that was affected.
Uh-huh.
I feel some tingling sensation
Uh-huh.
after the therapy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I guess I say, let something's happening within. That's why I said something's happening in my body.
Yeah, that's right. And then the nausea, the dizziness, it was slowly fading away. Am I correct?
Yes. Slowly fading away.
And that's within the week or 2 or 3 weeks after doing the therapy. And you
Two
were doing
weeks.
2
2
weeks.
weeks, actually. 2 weeks into my first therapy using the long device.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I felt that the nausea is slowly fading away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then any of the imbalances, because of course, you had a stroke, and there are times.
Well, the imbalances, because that was the main thing that was affected my balance.
Mhm.
I was able to regain my balance when I bought my my own device. That was, I think, on my 6th week of therapy.
And that 6 week therapy. And you were doing this from the start. You were doing this religiously, right?
Yeah, but on my 4th week, I was already walking, using the walker.
Uh-huh.
Then on my 5th week, already using a cane, no
Uh-huh.
longer using the walker device.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. You know what? Um, I've seen a lot of people who had stroke, and it took them some time, and some of them never recovered. But
Yeah.
looking at you, man, you're my brother. You're my brother in the field. But looking at you smiling and back to normal again with, well, what we call in our field is homeostasis, the normal health and well-being of a person, like totally normal, and you're there. And what can you say about people who would be watching our video? What would you say to them that who are on the sideline, who are still thinking if it's true or not, or who doesn't believe on it?
Well, in my case, it's stroke. No more like you have to try it. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what was that actually brought into my mind, like, I have to try this for me to know whether it's true or not, because I can't judge anything unless I tried it, right? Because I was desperate, I was helpless, I was totally in pain. You name it, man. I was taking narcotics, I was taking gabapentin, I was taking bunch of stuff to make me sleep at night, because I can't sleep, man. I was in pain. Like, I was banging my head like one time, and I was crying. I was totally crying, like, what the heck? And I was just, not that I did swear, but inside my heart, I was really struggling, like, Lord, if there's a way you could take this away from me, what will I do? Pain is pain, man. But right now, I'm just so happy, and I'm just so glad. My wife is so glad to see me smiling now, and I was able to bring back my condition as well. And likewise, man, I'm so happy for you. You're here with me right now,
Thank you.
on the other side of the world, smiling at me on a different time zone, but there you are. I'm so much grateful,
Yeah.
man, for any last words before we wrap up, man?
Well, just try the device. Just try the device. Yeah. I'm not saying that they should take it from me or believe me, but just try the device. The proof of the pudding's in the eating.
Exactly. It's in there.
Yeah.
So you always have that with you all the time, and you bring it with you in your suitcase, right?
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Doc Francis. And
thank you, Bunny.
thank you so much
Anytime.
from the bottom of
Anytime.
my heart, man. And I'll be thinking of you, man. Thoughts and prayers for your full recovery as you go on and continue using the device.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And highly
Thank you.
appreciate it. Have a good one.
Okay.